Hello, and welcome to We Live for Saturday, your favorite college football podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike. With me, as always, is your other co-host, John. John, are you staying warm enough? It's very cold.
I am. I'm all right. You know, tomorrow's supposed to be even colder, but
The high tomorrow is 9 below, folks. For those of you who
yes.
aren't in Minnesota, the high, that's the best it can get temperature-wise, is 9 below zero. Not below freezing, below zero.
Yeah.
There is a warning. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Go for it. Go ahead.
There is a warning. It's going to be so cold overnight, tonight and tomorrow night, that you're supposed to avoid, and they're being serious, trees, because there will be exploding trees because of how cold it's going to be. Now, John, I've lived in the Midwest most of my life. Have you ever heard of an exploding tree before?
Well, here's the thing. I heard about that last night, and I was like, you and I grew up where it gets even colder than
you're in Fargo, where it's colder than it is here. Yeah.
So, and not once do I remember a tree exploding because
right.
it was
But how many
outside.
Trees are there in Fargo?
Fair, but
you
know.
think something would? You think one of them would have exploded?
You think we would have heard about it?
Yeah.
Seen it? Something?
But that's a new thing. So now you can't even walk through the woods because the tree's gonna explode. Like, man.
I mean, honestly, I want to see it now because like this is the first I've ever heard about it.
I hope someone gets it on video.
I hope so.
I want to see what does it look like? Because like obviously it's not going to blow up like a bomb. Like I imagine it cracks and falls.
I've heard that,
right? Like a deep crack inside, and then the tree falls probably.
I mean, I've only heard. I don't know about it like falling, but like I mean, I've heard it just sounds like a gunshot. I've heard that it's like it's like a poof, like
right.
But I don't. Again, man, you and I, we grew up in colder temperatures than this. Believe it or not, people.
Yeah.
And I never experienced something like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's a thing.
We didn't have snow days. That wasn't a thing.
No.
When we got school canceled, it's not because there was 1.5 feet of snow. You expected to show up anyway.
Yes, you were.
It's because it was 40 below wind chill, and it's dangerous to be outside for more than 5 minutes at a time.
Yeah, and honestly, even that, like it was still rare when they would cancel school. They would usually make it like wait until the sun was up for a couple hours to warm things up, where you weren't gonna like at least die instantly.
Sometimes they say, "Oh, you have to." The worst is when they be like, "You have to come in at 10," and I'm like, "Make a decision.
Yeah,
have school or don't." You kidding me? Come in at 10. F off.
Yeah. I remember that. It was sitting, waiting, watching the TV, see what the ticker was if your school was listed on there. Yeah. Well, yeah, man. So yeah, I'm interested. Honestly, I hope I see a tree explode at this point because I've never seen it.
I don't hope I see it because then it could hit you with like some bark could come like flying. I don't want to. I mean, I want to see it on video where I'm comfortably in my home.
Okay.
It's like how I feel about sharks. I don't want to be in the water with them. But they look cool on my TV. You know.
Fair.
People who are like, oh, I want to swim with the dolphins. I'm like, dolphins will rip you apart. You're crazy. And they're smart and vindictive.
And they should be. After what we've done to them. So.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, if the dolphins had thumbs, they would rule the world and not us.
Well.
Sucks for them.
Yep. Sucks for them.
We won the genetic lottery. Sorry, dolphins. Didn't work out for you. All right. Should we talk about football?
Let's do that. Yeah, for sure. Before we get started, though, I didn't say at the beginning of the last pod, so I wanted to make sure we hit it. If you want to find We Live for Saturday, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Podcast Addict. You can find us on Twitter at We Live for B1GSat. You can find Mike at Alibaba26. And you can find me, John, at Norwegian Gopher. And you can email us, We Live for Saturday, b1g@gmail.com. Please like, follow, subscribe, tweet, retweet, all that good stuff, especially here on YouTube. We'd really appreciate it. Tell all your friends, all that kind of stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, the more we can get people to subscribe on YouTube, the further our reach goes and the more people that can hear the pod. So we appreciate it when you subscribe. That means a lot to us. So thank you in advance. And I'll assume that you're subscribing now if you haven't already. All right, awesome. John, we have one last game to discuss from the 2025-2026 college football season. And in a national championship where I guess the winner wasn't unexpected, but it was unexpected in August that this team would have a snowball's chance in hell of winning. But here we are. You had the number 1 16-0 Indiana Hoosiers 27, the number 10 13-3 Miami Hurricanes 21. This was a great game. Indiana controlled the first half. It looked like maybe Miami was not going to be able to hang. It was 10-0 at half, and when late in the first half, Miami had a field goal attempt, and I think this was a big mistake. And we're going to come back to Signetti made the right decisions, and Mario Cristobal made the wrong decisions.
Yep.
But it's 4th and 2. He sends his kicker out there to attempt a 50-yard field goal. It doinks off the post. Before that field goal attempt, John, you know what their kicker was in the playoffs, in the college football playoff this year, from 40 yards or out. Do you know what he was?
What?
1 for 5. Mario trots out a kicker with a 20% chance of it succeeding or worse. Because it was a full 50 yards, I believe. Instead of going for it when his offense has a bunch of momentum and it's 4th and 2, and either you get into better field goal range or you score a touchdown. And then instead of being 10-0 at half, it's 10-3 or 10-7. I thought that was a catastrophic mistake by Cristobal. When he trotted that kicker out there, I was like, he better make this, because if he misses this, Indiana might just shut the door. And they didn't. To Miami's credit, they came back. They made it a game in the second half. But Indiana, man, it was that Cristobal, that missed field goal. I just think if there's one thing about this Hoosiers team, you aren't going to beat them kicking field goals.
No.
You're going to beat them if you were. I mean, nobody beat them, so you're not going to beat them. But if you were going to beat them, you'd have to beat them scoring touchdowns. And I thought Cristobal took his eye off the, and Indiana was just much more prepared in the first half. I thought Miami looked kind of confused at times in that. It really took until the second half for them to settle in and adjust. But let's look at the top line stuff. First downs, we had 20 for Indiana to 15 for Miami. That was a big difference. Another one, third down efficiency. Indiana was 6 for 16, which is not great, but Miami was just 3 for 11, which is worse. Fourth down efficiency, Miami was 1 for 1, Indiana 2 for 2. If Miami goes for it and they're 2 for 2 also, does that change the whole tenor of the game and make it like Indiana maybe wins other way, but it was only 6 points. So if they do score there, that could have been really significant. Total yards, Miami at 342 to 317 for Indiana, but Indiana, I still think Indiana played better offensively. I agree. They let off the gas a little bit late in the game at times. But they were better, they were better, more consistent throughout the game, I thought.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
And Miami outpassed Indiana 232 to 186. But they did throw that pick, which cost them the game. When they had a chance at the end. Rushing yards, Miami, this was the big stat for me, John. Miami had just 110 yards rushing. Now, you recall Miami came into this game with the best offensive line running back combination of any team in the country, arguably. And they came in running efficiently for lots of yards. And yeah, they got 5.2 yards a rush, but it didn't feel like that much.
No,
it felt like the first guy was making the tackle consistent. There was, if they didn't, there were 8 guys there to make the tackle. Like it never felt like that. I never felt like Fletcher was going to break one. Malachi Toney, I felt like was going to break one.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, Fletcher had that one, the 57-yard.
He had the one touchdown, the long touchdown run. Yes.
But that was it. Otherwise, he was contained the whole time. And yes, when he was allowed to get free, he made it count. But yeah, it didn't feel like it. It did not feel like there was a very successful rushing game, to be honest. Like other than that one. Otherwise, Fletcher before or after that 57-yard run, he didn't do much.
Yeah, we said that Indiana wanted to run more plays and control clock than Miami.
Yeah,
and I think if you look at it, Miami ran 53 plays and Indiana ran 72. Indiana ran 19 or 20, about 20 more plays than Miami did. I thought that was a big difference. The fact that they had the ball for 36 and a half minutes to just 23 and a half for Miami.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because those Miami, it's like, if you have to block the Miami defensive line forever with Mesidor and Bain and Moten, they're going to get to the quarterback eventually. They just are. And Indiana really limited their opportunities. I also thought it was smart. Signetti threw it 27 times to 45 rushes.
Yeah.
And it's not like Indiana was tearing it up in the running game. They ran for, 3 yards a carry on 45 attempts, but it kept the ball. It kept getting them into third and manageable. It kept putting them in position for Fernando Mendoza to make plays. And, he made the plays. Obviously, after the early in the third quarter, you have the long Fletcher run for the touchdown. And then it's 10-7. And you think, oh, Indiana might be in trouble. And then what do they do almost immediately? Force a 3-and-out and then block a punt, recover it for a touchdown. And Mikhail Kamara blocked the punt, I think. I believe. Did you see, dude, the back who was supposed to block him? I mean, that was an Ole.
Just let him go.
In film session, he is going to get crushed by his coaches. His teammates are going to be talking trash behind his back.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so, man. How do you do that? You gotta put a shoulder into him.
Didn't even try. It was like he just let him go. I was like, it was
like
incredible.
Worst. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say the guy's better than you, and you're like, what you have to at least do is get low and force him to knock you over and then run over you to get to the quarterback. You can't step out of the way. This isn't bullfighting. It's not bullfighting.
It was wild.
But credit again, Signetti. They almost got to a punt earlier in the game.
Yeah.
And Signetti clearly told them, hey, if we get another shot at the look we want, let's go block a punt.
Yeah.
And they did. And it was 17-7. And, that was a big turning point. That was the difference score-wise in the game. They win by 6, and that was 7 of the points. And that's the thing about this Indiana team that has just been true all year, is that they execute in every phase of the game. You can't make mistakes. You can't make a mistake on special teams. You can't make a mistake on defense. You can't make a mistake on offense. They will make you pay for your errors. It does remind me of the early Nick Saban teams, man, where they just it wasn't always explosive. It wasn't always crazy, but they just checked all the boxes, tackled everybody, and held up, we're great up front, and then just had had some guys at the skill positions who were real, who were scary.
Yep.
And I feel like Signetti really built this team kind of in Saban's, image that way. Let's talk about the Heisman Trophy winner. Not his best night, 16 for 27, 186 yards, just 7 yards per attempt. But his QBR was over 90.6, which shows he made the right plays. Miami's a great defense. It just wasn't always there.
Yeah.
He had to throw it away at times. I don't hold that against him. That's good decision making.
Yep.
But when they needed it, and I guess, let's see, the key, we'll come back to that. Kalon Black, 79 yards rushing, Roman Hemby, 60. So not a ton, but, they got it done a little bit. And then Omar Cooper, man. Omar Cooper, 5 catches, 71 yards. He was and Charlie Becker, 4 for 65. Elijah Surratt only had 3 for 28. Elijah Surratt. If you told me before the game that Miami held Elijah Surratt to 28 yards and that Indiana averaged under 3 yards per carry, I would have told you Miami won going away. And that's the thing, these Hoosiers, man, it doesn't matter how they win. They're going to win. Well, it doesn't matter how it has to be. They're going to win. They're going to figure it out.
Again, though, it's like we talked about during the season is of course, Elijah Surratt was the top receiver that everybody was talking about, and rightfully so. But then you saw Omar, Cooper Jr. come out and look amazing, which we already kind of expected that. But then, you get a third guy, Charlie Becker, who just comes up clutch constantly and did again in this game. And so you can't take out all three of those receivers. Like, they're all effective.
The thing about Charlie Becker is it seems like he's always covered, but he gets the ball anyway. He reminds me of a little bit. I'm not saying he's as good. He's not as good. He reminds me a little bit of Eric Decker. Remember, they'd put like 2 or 3 guys on him, and Adam Weber would laugh and be like, I'm throwing it to 7.
Yeah.
You can put the whole team on there. I'm throwing it to 7. And even if you're there, even if you're in position, even if you did everything right, he's going to jump up and take it from you. He's just going to do it.
Yep.
And that's how I feel about Charlie Becker. Anytime there's like a back shoulder throw or like something up in the air, I'm like, he's going to go get it.
Yep.
And I feel that way about all 3 of them, man. Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt, but especially Charlie Becker. That's his wheelhouse.
Yep.
He is he is a stereotypical white receiver, and that he's tall and doesn't have blazing speed, but uses his physicality and like balance and, skill to get it done.
Yep. No, I mean, obviously, I think similar time period. It's Eric Decker, and unfortunately, Aberderis is another one that comes to mind. But
he was a speed demon. That's different.
He was a speed demon, but he also just had the ability to be that possession type of receiver. He just came up with it for whatever reason.
He could. No, he could. I remember him. I remember that time they beat Ohio State. I remember him clowning Ohio State.
It was ridiculous.
Just repeatedly.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the best defense in the country, and they were just. It's amazing that Russell Wilson Badgers team lost 3 games.
Really was.
Like, we're really lucky they didn't win a national title that year.
Yep.
If Bielema was the coach then that he is today, they might have won the Natty that year.
Yeah,
because he used to make in-game coaching mistakes like you wouldn't believe. Like, everyone's like, we have all this respect for Bielema now. It's like, yeah, now. But when he was at Wisconsin, he was like a good coach and a great program at the time. Obviously, Wisconsin's fallen off a cliff. But now. But like he was, he wasn't always. He wasn't like the reason they were winning.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Barry was.
Yeah,
and so, but like these days now, Bielema makes all the right decisions.
Oh yeah. But like, and again, talking about just someone who does make all the right decisions, and to bring it back to Indiana though, is you do look at like that's what to me this game came down to when it came to decision making and coaching, and you saw, and I already heard. I was listening to a podcast earlier, and they were talking about, former Minnesota Golden Gopher defensive coordinator, who will probably think about this decision for the rest of his life on not to adjust to when Cignetti took the timeout, brought out the field goal unit, but then brought the offense back out, and Corey Heatherman did not adjust accordingly, and you saw what happened. And that was that. It was probably the punt block, and that play right there
was when Mendoza. It was 4th and like 7.
Yep.
4th and 7.
Yeah.
And Curt Cignetti, the madman that he is, calls a QB draw.
Yep.
And it looks like Mendoza's going to get lit up in the hole.
Yep.
Or like or not in the hole, but like 2 yards downfield. And he does a jump cut like a running back.
Yep.
And then he bounces off a guy, and then he spins and dives, and it's a touchdown. And you're just going, yeah, you deserve the Heisman.
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy winner. That's a Heisman play.
Yep.
Like, that's what you do. It wasn't going to be there to dominate in the passing game, but Mendoza continues to just make all the right decisions.
Well, and it was Cignetti seeing something. And
he saw that they were open in the middle. He saw the opening.
And was he playing mind games that he was like, he called the timeout and then he brought out the field goal unit, but
of course he was.
Then he brought it back. Like, I mean,
because he didn't want them to think QB draw. He wanted them to think we're taking you in a field goal.
And this is what I'm saying. Like, this is where
everything's so next level.
He's not playing the same game anyone else is playing.
No, he's playing chess.
Yes, it's wild, and that's where like
other guys are playing checkers for sure.
Yep. So that right there, it was obviously the punt block, and then that play call right there is what just was like that was the game, and that's all Curt Cignetti. I mean, his players obviously had to execute, which they did phenomenally, but like yeah, man, it's just insane. So.
And it wasn't easy. I mean, Miami battled back. They had a chance to win at the end. Carson Beck, I know he threw the late pick, but like 19 for 32, 232 yards, almost 7.5 yards per attempt, 1 TD, 1 pick. Still a QBR of 86.2.
Not
Carson
bad.
Beck was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wasn't. I actually thought he was going to struggle more than he did.
Mm-hmm.
So I was impressed with some of that. And then, of course, man, Malachi Tony, dude.
Yeah.
10 catches, 122 yards, and a 41-yard long with a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Super
I mean,
talented.
that guy is.
Yeah.
I mean, can you believe he's a true freshman?
It's wild. Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
He's so good. He's so good.
He's going to be. I mean, I don't think. We'll see what happens at quarterback. It sounds like Miami's going to steal Darian Mensah, which I'm not cool with.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do, they're going to be really good next year.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Malachi Tony. And does Fletcher come back too? I think he does.
Yeah, I'm not sure what year he is, but if he does, yeah, I mean another.
Yeah, he's a junior.
Okay.
And I don't think he's not NFL. He's not the kind of running back that's going to get taken at the top of the NFL draft. So I'm sure he'll come back.
Yeah, I think it'd be worth his while coming back another year. He'd be effective, and obviously he's going to make great money. And give Miami another shot at a national title. Why not?
I mean, Miami had 3 sacks and 6 tackles for loss.
Mm-hmm.
They made it hard on Fernando, man.
They were punishing him.
And was it the right tackle for Indiana that couldn't block?
Oh my God, dude. He let Bain get in like untouched multiple times.
Untouched at times.
How do you let Reuben Bain Jr.
He's like 295 pounds. You can't get a mid on him?
Like nothing. It was just, he didn't even slow him down. And I was like, what is this guy? Like, get him out of the game. Take him out. I don't care who he is. Like, get him out, get him out, get him out. It was watching, I think we saw it in like one series at least twice, and then it was like then the next series it happened again, and I'm like, why are you allowing this guy on the field? Like you're letting Reuben Bain Jr., who is just a freaking force as it is, even when he is being blocked, like to just go through there untouched and just light up your quarterback.
And it was their DNs, the 3 sacks. Bain had 1, and Mesidor had 2.
Yep. Yeah.
And Bain had 8 tackles, man, and he's a defensive end. 2.5 tackles for loss.
Yeah,
dude, he's a freak. He's a freak. So he's gonna go at the top of the NFL draft.
Yeah,
like Fernando Mendoza will probably be number 1, but like after him, I could see picking Bain over Mendoza. I'm not saying I would, but if you need a quarterback, it's different though. You need a quarterback. You need a quarterback. You're taking the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the NFL works.
Yeah.
So that's really like, it's just the little stuff. It was the special teams. It was when to go for it and not go for it on 4th downs. It was playing the mind games like before they went for it, pretending like they were going to go for the field goal. So Heatherman's thinking one thing and doesn't have time to get his caveman head around. Oh, it could be a QB draw. Like didn't account for it. But
you got to give Heatherman credit though for the physicality aspect of Miami's defense and like
they held up. They held up.
Force and like that. Yeah. I mean, like they're out there to hurt you. And I do love that and respect that about.
I mean, they held the Indiana offense to 20 points.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty good.
20 points. That's really, I mean, this Indiana team if you had told me that Indiana was going to score 20 points offensively, I would have told you Miami won the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
Signetti, man, he was not going to be denied. And you could see it before the game when they interviewed him. And what he say? He's like, it's not time for milk and cookies. We got to go to war. I love him so much. He's such a quote machine. He might be the best quote since Steve Spurrier retired.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess him and Mike Leach also.
Yeah.
I have Leach in his own category because he was such a ridiculous human being in like, for both, mostly for good, but like in all ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
Fun fact, that before he became a football coach, Mike Leach had an agent and was getting local acting jobs.
You know what? I believe that. That's actually like, I'm not too surprised. That's like, okay. Yeah.
I can't remember who it was, but I heard it was like one of the guys. I want to say it was like, I don't know, someone who does actual journalism for college football and like did a interview and got that, out of it.
I believe it. I could see like Ross Dellinger pulling that out or something like that. Like,
it was somebody like that.
Yeah. That's funny. That's great.
But yeah, dude, I don't, for Indiana from 2008 to 2023, they won. I mean, we did the math. They won 35% of their games, not of their Big Ten games. of all of their
All
games.
games.
So that averages out to like 3 or 4 wins a year, maybe 5.
I think
it's not much.
Again, on a podcast that I just listened to, someone was saying that there was someone took a photo of like 2022 or 23 where Indiana lost to, I believe, the Akron Zips.
Oh my God.
And then, so 23. And then it was a photo of that, losing that game in Memorial Stadium to winning a national title. Like, how do you, like, going from losing to the Akron Zips to winning a national title in just like 2 years time?
I mean, Cignetti is 27-2 at Indiana.
It's insane.
27-2.
Yeah.
And Indiana, when they did the talent composite where they like rank your high school recruit, obviously the transfer portal is different and it's harder to rank and it's kind it's a tougher thing to evaluate. At least they haven't gotten good at it yet, the way they are with high school recruiting.
Yeah.
And Indiana had the worst like 4-year recruiting ranking of anyone in the conference.
Yeah.
And they're the national champions. It's bananas, man.
And you got to talk about
it.
And I know everybody's talking about it, but like you do, we have to bring up the fact that the blue chip ratio it's done.
It's dead.
He broke it.
You know what? I was listening. I couldn't help it. I had to check if he was going to talk about it. I was listening to Cover 3 podcast before this, and we'll call him friend of the pod since he's listened to the pod, Bud Elliott. And yes, we did confirm that Bud Elliott listened to our podcast based on what he posted on Twitter about our podcast. So he didn't fully agree with us or anything, but like he did post about us, and I do appreciate that. So Bud Elliott said, he said, you know what? It used to be you could have a dozen first-round draft picks on a team. It used to be you could just stockpile talent. You could be 3 deep at every position. And in order to win the national title, you kind of had to be.
Yeah.
So that when you had injuries, the guys coming in were like no drop off from the guys, going out.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. But the talent, that was when only some schools were paying.
Yep.
When most schools weren't paying.
Yep.
And the schools that were paying were getting all of the guys. And guys would go to Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State and spend 3 years on the bench and then play for 1 or 2 years and then go pro. And that was the best way for them to make money. But like the thing about football players is they want to play football.
Yep.
And so now we have NIL. Now guys can get paid to play somewhere else. The blue chip ratio is dead. I mean, Indiana, I think, had under 10% blue chippers on their roster. Under 10%. And the last for like comparison's sake, last year I think Ohio State was in the 90s. Blue chip ratio.
Yeah.
Georgia's usually in the 90s. Alabama's usually in the 90s. Michigan is closer to like the 60s or 70s, but they're, 8%. Yeah. 8% 4 or 5 star recruits for Indiana. And they won not just the Big Ten, not just the Rose Bowl. They won the whole ass national title. And
just happened to pull a Heisman Trophy out of it as well. So,
and also, had a Heisman Trophy winner, which doesn't hurt.
I mean, and this is and I guess this is a way we can segue a little bit into Paul Feinbaum, and because like Paul Feinbaum finally came clean and made a public statement. A lot of people are saying it's AI, which wouldn't surprise me, but I'm not quoting him directly, but essentially, what he said is that a lot of people talk down about Indiana, talk down about the Big Ten and what they were capable of doing this year, Indiana in particular, and Curt Cignetti. And a lot of people were wrong. And Paul Feinbaum said, and no one was more wrong than me.
Paul Feinbaum.
I mean,
admitted he was wrong.
Yes.
Amazing.
And so he, and I think he also added in that he goes, this is not just like a great college football story. He goes, this is probably the greatest college football story of all time. And
modern era. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and so I think to hear that from him, to finally admit defeat, and his, even his overseers couldn't convince him to like lie anymore, essentially.
And they wanted him to be
I'm
actually sure. The SEC had the flu, and that's what happened. And it was just south the Mason-Dixon line. Everybody got sick. I don't know. Bad luck.
Now we'll see how like this story maintains, or how it might like change in a way over the next year or so. But the fact that he himself came out, the biggest talking head of the SEC, who was the biggest homer and frankly bad for the sport, Paul Feinbaum, to come out and say that on that level is that's saying something, because again, you can't deny that. And if Paul Feinbaum can't sit here and deny and no longer claim the SEC is the best conference, and he said it, the Big Ten is the best conference, flat out.
Yes, you can't deny it.
Yeah. So
three national titles in a row with 3 different teams. Sorry, go on.
So if he can admit that, then I'm looking at the rest of you SEC shills out there. I'm looking at Peter Burns. I'm looking at the college football nerds. Like, I'm looking at
Adam Rittenberg,
Peter
Fudiak, or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like, the list goes on and on. All the
everybody
other
who works at the SEC network.
Yes. All the other trolls on Twitter.
Looking at you, Tim Tebow.
Like, let's just be real. Like, and again, and it's not like we're not saying that you have to be like they are now and forever will be the way you talked about the SEC for 20 plus years. We don't have to talk about the Big Ten that way. That's not what we're saying. But let's acknowledge reality. That's it. That's all we're asking. So, we're not asking you to gaslight everybody now and change the narrative in the opposite direction, like and go along like you did with the SEC. But it's just like that's just where we are right now. And this is the reality. The Big Ten is the best conference. Hands down, there is no argument, and it's not just Indiana, and it's not just Ohio State. It's not just
depth.
Michigan.
It's the
depth of the conference. And we
saw it because the conference went 10-4 in bowl season.
Yes,
in the postseason, excuse me.
Yeah,
and the SEC went 2-8.
Yeah,
not counting games that are Big Ten against Big Ten or SEC against SEC, like taking those out.
And the SEC was below 500 last year too. Like, this is a trend.
It's a trend.
Yes.
And they have, you know what I think, honestly? I think when you could stockpile talent, it made you look like a better coach than you are.
Yes.
Is Kirby Smart one of the best 5 coaches in the sport? Is he? I think it's a question.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he won back-to-back titles, but that was a different world. That was before the NIL. Like Bud Elliott himself said that there was NIL in 21 and 22, but it didn't become like fully out of the box nationwide until 2023.
Yep.
And since then, the SEC fell off a cliff. And it's been, again, it hasn't just been, for the last 3 years, they've been trying to tell you that the SEC's, the Big Ten might have some better top teams, but the SEC's deeper. It's not. We saw that.
Yep.
If the SEC was deeper, then Vandy wouldn't have gotten pummeled by Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
again, is a team that probably deserved a shot at the college football playoff and could have maybe made a little bit of a run. And I think Iowa had a better chance than some of the other teams that made a shot or had a shot at the college football playoff.
Illinois beat an SEC team too, didn't they? Who'd they play again?
Yeah.
I forget who they played.
Did they beat Tennessee?
I think yeah. Yes, I believe so. I have to look.
Whatever it is, like the thing is like this is just more evidence of the fact that the Big Ten is deeper, and it isn't just the top teams, and it's not to say that like it can't switch or flip flop here and there every other year or every few years or whatever. That the SEC might be better or deeper. That's just the way it is. But let's not acknowledge that's not just
stuff is gonna run in cycles. But like you can't piss on our legs and tell us it's raining. You can't. There were 10 SEC teams in the top 25 before the season started. And there shouldn't have been.
Nope.
There should have been like 5.
Yeah.
Maybe 6. That's it. And the Big Ten started with 6 and I think ended with 7 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So going into next year, based on what all the teams have done the last 3 years, based on what the Big Ten teams have coming back, if you try to rank more SEC teams than Big Ten teams in the preseason rankings, then you're just being totally dishonest. You're gaslighting everybody. You're gaslighting the whole sport.
Which is already, I've seen a number of media outlets or at least people from certain media outlets, CBS, ESPN, I don't know, whatever, other major media outlets, whatever it is, whether it's just Yahoo Sports or whatever. I'm not seeing anything less than 8 SEC teams in the way too early top 25. 8.
They should get like 5 after this year, maybe 4, maybe.
And there's even one. I don't know. I think it was there was one that was 9, and I think it was like the Big Ten had 7.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are we do? Why? Like, do you? How stupid are you to think we're so stupid out here to not believe this and to call you out on it? And I know, yes, it's engagement. Yes, you know that when you do that, I'm sure some of you might be smart enough. At least I'm gonna, to do that in order to think that, like, okay, well, this is gonna get engagement because it's a rage bait, whatever. Which I'm sure some of it might be, but it also, to me, that just discredits you as if you call yourself a journalist, you're just totally discrediting yourself by putting false information out there, in my opinion, because that's what it has been for the last number of years. It's a false narrative. You're spreading misinformation that isn't true because the results on the field speak for themselves, and that's reality.
And you still had people ending the year ranking Missouri, who went 8-5.
Yeah.
And didn't beat a single team with a winning record.
Yeah.
And Tennessee, who, again, like we said, lost to a Big Ten team in their bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
And did Illinois end the year ranked?
No.
Illinois went 9-4.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you go 9-4 in the best conference in college football,
mm-hmm.
you should be ranked.
Yep.
Not high, but you should be ranked in the top 25.
Yep.
That's ridiculous to me. Like, that's an insult that Illinois, like, right? Because they weren't ranked. Were they at the end of the year? I don't think they were.
I don't think so.
Now I have to know for sure.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not going to be surprised if during the offseason the narrative, shifts back into the whole thing that we've been hearing for 20 plus years. But it would be nice to see some people who have some real influence, who have a real voice out there, to not just follow suit and maybe do a little bit of homework, maybe, step up their game just a little bit, do some real research and find, give credit where credit's due, man. That's it. That's all anyone is asking for.
And like, really, number 9-4 TCU over 9-4 Illinois. Really? They're like, well, TCU beat USC. And I was like, yeah, so did Illinois.
Yeah.
That's a thing that we saw. And that was without any opt-outs or anything. That was in the regular ass season.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, dude. And they're going to be like, well, look at the recruiting rankings.
Oh, God.
And I'm going to be like, again, because teams can't stockpile talent to the same way, the talent is so much more spread out. We talk about this all the time.
Yep.
The recruiting tiers are big. And like, if you are not as far ahead as you think you are just because you're recruiting at a top 10 or 15 level. Well, just not like you used to be.
And all we got to do is cite one more time the national title winner of this year.
Yeah.
They're not in the top 10. And I mean, they're recruiting much better now, but like, I don't think they're in the top 10 or at least weren't last year.
They weren't in the top 10 of the Big Ten. They ranked 18 over a 4-year period. All the guys in the roster, they ranked 18th out of 18 in the Big Ten talent composite going into the year. They were supposed to be bad.
Which again, look at
they won the national title.
So again, you're looking at these people who are out there spewing all this stuff, all this information. And now you also have to question their ability to be talent evaluators. Like, what do you actually know what a good football player even looks like anymore? Because now I question that entire thing with you. Like, I'm not saying you don't know ball or that you don't have some level of information or experience or whatever that qualifies you to be in your job, but I'm definitely questioning your judgment from now on. That's for sure.
I mean, I'm looking at you, Nick Saban, and you picked Alabama to beat Indiana.
Yeah.
It was 38-3.
Yeah.
Hoosiers. Like, come on. What are we even talking about? And that's the thing. Those games weren't even competitive, really.
No.
And like, the SEC wouldn't have even had a top team in the top 4 if Trinidad Chambliss wasn't like superhuman.
Mm-hmm. And it's also funny to me that you bring up Nick Saban is his quote, which again I don't have in front of me, but
Where he's trying to
discussing,
rip on the Big Ten?
yeah, because we're paying players. It's like, what were you doing? How do you think you won all
Nick,
your
you
national titles,
had the
Nicky?
monopoly on paying players.
Yes.
Practically.
Yep.
Again, it was you and Ohio State and Georgia divvying up, and like to a lesser extent, like Texas and Michigan, but like it was those three programs, especially Ohio State, and I guess Clemson was in there for a while too.
Yeah.
But like, who were hoarding all the talent?
Yep.
Who could go 8 deep on the defensive line and not have a drop off?
Yep.
Those days are gone. Those days are gone. And that means there's a lot more volatility. There's more upsets. There's more chances for teams like Indiana to come out of nowhere and win big.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. And you can tell the media, the college football media, is not comfortable with it. They all say they like it, but I can tell they don't.
Oh, no.
Because of the way they talk about it. And they're like, oh, if only the Super League would come.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, absolutely not. What are you talking about? Just do your jobs. It's not that hard. You already cover the SEC in depth. It's not that hard to just cover the Big Ten. But they don't want to do it outside of, a handful of schools.
No, and there's so many factors.
And here's the other thing. At what point do we start to acknowledge that the closer the margins get talent-wise, the more the coaching matters?
Yeah, 100%.
And the Big Ten just has better coaches than the SEC.
It really does. It really does.
Significantly better.
Yeah.
I mean, top to bottom, better. It's, the Big Ten has so many guys who are somewhere between really good and legendary.
Well, I mean, look, Kalen DeBoer brought Washington to a national title just a few years ago, and Cignetti just ran circles around him in Alabama.
Like he was standing still.
Which Alabama has far more talent than Washington usually does.
Way more.
And Cignetti made him look freaking stupid. So, dude, I mean, you're right. It 100%. We need to talk about coaching more often. And that's what the point I've always, I've been trying to make, and you have been trying to make over Indiana this year is, yes, you can talk about the players. Of course, you have Fernando Mendoza, who's a Heisman Trophy winner, who's phenomenal, of course, but like, dude, it's Cignetti. He just knows how to use that talent better than anyone else.
He can evaluate guys, figure out exactly what he needs in his scheme.
Yep.
And he can pick guys that like are diamonds in the rough and turn them into superstars en masse. Not just one or two.
Yep.
Not like all coaches do that with a few guys. All coaches who are pretty good, take a guy who wasn't the highest rated recruit, and turn him into a superstar.
Yep.
Like a lot of guys have a handful of guys like that, but not all of them. Not all of them.
Nope.
And Cignetti, it's just, man, there was no. I remember the knock going into the year on Indiana was that their skill position players weren't fast enough. They didn't seem slow to me at all this year, man.
No, not at all. Not in the least.
Elijah Surratt's not a burner, but Omar Cooper kind of is. And their backs, Roman Hemby, he can, if you get him a lane, he can scoot.
Yeah.
Kalen Black's good. I don't know, man. They were just solid all the way around. And it's exciting that a solid all the way around football team that lacks tons of like blue chip recruits is now in a position where they can go win a national title. Yeah. I mean, this is the greatest sport in the world.
It is. And that's the thing. And I love, this is what we've wanted. We've wanted this kind of parity on this level. And yes.
The 4-team playoff where it was the same 6 teams in contention every year was awful. And also the recruits only went to those 6 schools.
Yep.
But like, again, the parity, the paying, the expanded playoff, like it's all been really good. Although I will say, Tony Petitti, 24 teams is stupid. Get off that. 24 teams is way too many. If you want to go to 16, okay, go to 16. But that has to be the cap. It has to be. Like, yeah, like what are you doing? Just like we don't want a bunch of 8 and 4 teams competing for a national title. It has to mean a little more than that.
Well, and also just like the length of the season and all that kind of stuff. It's just this is
Oh, it's
already
too long. It's too many games.
yeah, it's too much. And look, and I'm not like I love college football. I would love it's not that I wouldn't watch more games, but it just seems like
It would
you're
take away from the
watering it
bowl
down.
games, though.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
would take
Yeah.
away from the bowl season, and you'd have a lot more blowouts.
Yeah.
Because you'd have the team seated at the top with the teams at the bottom in the first couple of rounds. So you'd have tons of blowouts instead of having compelling bowl games with evenly matched squads and in a 12 to 16 team playoff where anybody who was a legit threat is definitely in the field. That's the thing. It's not basketball. The 20th best team in the country cannot win the college football national title. They cannot. In basketball, they can.
Yeah.
If they get hot at the right time and whatever, and have a good draw and, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, the only argument I get is yes, I'm not saying 24 here, but to expand it a little further is because I do think that there were teams, for example, Iowa or Illinois. Like I could have seen Iowa beat, like let's say there was
Iowa would have been a really tough draw for anybody.
I think so.
A really tough draw.
I'm not saying they would have beat the majority of the people.
Well, look at the way Iowa pushed Oregon. And
look at what they did to Indiana.
Yeah. I mean, it took a late cover zero blitz slant route to Elijah Surratt to beat Iowa. That game, they were very close to losing to Iowa.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think this Iowa team could have beaten Alabama. I think.
Absolutely, they could have.
So, like, I just don't. I am not totally against expanding it a little further
to 16, but not past 16. Because
you
don't have to add any rounds. Right now, there's four. There's 4 rounds.
Sure. With
12 teams and 2 teams and the 4 teams get a bye. You go to 16, it's still 4 rounds.
Yeah.
So you're not adding extra games. You're just taking away the buys.
Yes.
But you go to 24, then you're adding extra rounds. And it's like, we're not trying to be the FCS here.
Yeah.
Bowl season is special. I still want it to matter.
Yep.
So like, I don't want to see any expansion past 16 teams. So other than that though, guys, bang up job.
Yep.
Good work, Big Ten.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff. What do you want to talk about next? Do you want to go to conspiracy theory town, or do you want to go do something else first?
I mean, I don't really have anything else to talk about, so I think we got to go full conspiracy theory. I mean,
yeah, we're gonna put on our tinfoil hats. I saw a tweet that really made me think, and it was let's see, you know what? I'll even credit the person and be a good person. This is at Not Daunted Blake on Twitter. Said Nick Saban knew how good Cignetti was all along and refused to promote him out of fear for his own accolades. He forced him to reset his career in his 50s, knowing he wouldn't have time to break his records. Now he and his buddy Feinbaum do everything possible to go against him. Cignetti was the architect of Saban's dynasty. He was the recruiting coordinator. He's the one who decided which guys were the best, and they went out and got the best guys and won at unbelievable levels. And yet you look at all of Nick Saban's other coaches, your Lane Kiffins, your Kirby Smarts, your, whatever, they all got big jobs when they jumped. They all got power conference jobs. And yet Kurt Cignetti had to go all the way down to D2 from Alabama, was the recruiting coordinator in Alabama. And to get a head coaching job, he had to go all the way down to D2. That tells me Saban wasn't advocating for him. Because Saban got a lot of jobs for a lot of guys. Mike Loxley was a Saban assistant.
Yep.
He said, like you said, Lane Kiffin, Kirby Smart. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Mario Cristobal. Those guys all got big-ish jobs to start with.
Yep.
All of them. Except for Cignetti, who not only didn't get a power conference job, he didn't even get a group of 5 job. He didn't even get an FCS job. He had to go down to D2 and work his way all the way back up to the top.
It's wild.
Why was Saban not helping him more the way he helped his other coaches? Because we used to make a joke. It was the Nick Saban school for wayward boys, where you'd come in, be a Saban assistant, immediately go get a good job. Steve Sarkisian.
Yep.
Steve Sarkisian, who was fired by USC because he was an addict, got sober, went to work for Nick Saban. Nick Saban somehow got him the Texas job.
I mean, it makes you think, of course, I think
like he had hell. Not that Stark wasn't respected, not that these guys weren't respected, not that they weren't, well thought of coaches, but having the king of college football at the time say, this is the next guy, you got to hire him, got a lot of guys hired, and Curt Cignetti was not one of them.
And I think it's interesting because had Curt Cignetti at that time been promoted to a head coaching job at a Big Ten or an SEC school, he would have been competing against Nick and possibly beating him consistently. And that's the thing that, like, you and I have talked about, and you've made the point. You've really, really pushed the point, and I think you're right. And I mentioned something on Twitter too the other day about it with that Nick Saban quote about it's just the fact that Nick, I fully believe, and I fully believe you're right, that Nick Saban could not have done the job that Curt Cignetti has done at Indiana and turned that program into a national title contender in 2 years. A winner, not contender.
Saban couldn't win big at Michigan State. And Michigan State was way better set up to succeed than Indiana going into the last couple of years.
So I think you're right. I mean, I think there's some validity, at least, to the thought of like why Saban didn't help Cignetti out and made him work his way all the way back up. But I do love, though, that
couldn't make a phone call, couldn't pick up the phone and help your buddy out.
But look at what happened. Now Cignetti is going to be immortalized. Like, had Cignetti gone and just been another coach who won a bunch of national titles at another big program.
Oh, he could be if he had gone out and won a couple titles or something. Yeah, he would have just been anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. Now he's going to be remembered as one of the best coaches of all time. Like, he's going to, in my opinion, he will eventually rival Nick Saban's notoriety in the annals of college football. I really
should.
think. And he
should, because again, to do what he's done at Indiana, even if they never win it again.
Yep.
Which they might win it again. Not saying, I'm not doubting him at this point. I am not Hoosier fans. I can't do it. Even if he never wins it again, what he's done at Indiana to transform the program. Let's say for the next 10 years, he goes like somewhere between 10-2 and 8-4 on average.
Mm-hmm.
He would still, to me, be the greatest coach in college football.
Yeah.
Because to win that national title, to ascend to those heights, to take a moribund program that was a basketball school. Indiana was a full-blown basketball school and a basketball state, the Hoosier State. Mm-hmm. The movie is called Hoosiers, and it's about basketball.
Yep.
In small towns and how it's ubiquitous it is. To turn a basketball state where all of the real football fans, or not real, sorry, where like most of the hardcore football fans were Notre Dame fans who cheered for Notre Dame in football and Indiana in basketball like traitors. But Indiana has a giant fan base.
Yep.
And it's like one of the things, Indiana, I think, like the University of Minnesota, has a ton of living alumni.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing we didn't talk about the national title game. In Miami's home stadium, and they were outnumbered, 2-1 by Indiana fans?
Yep.
That's embarrassing, man.
Yeah.
It's your home stadium and you still got outbought tickets. Their whole fan base is online. And yeah, they have a lot of money. Miami has money, so they'll be a threat to win. But as a program, they're never going to have a home field advantage.
You got to get
They're going to be, you know what I mean? Like, they're never going to take that next step because they don't have the fan base to do it.
And the thing, and again, and my advice to Miami, the Big Ten, which seems very likely, which I know I'm not trying to get into that conversation, but if you are going to get a freaking field on campus, man, or at least a hell of a lot closer than Sunrise, California, or wherever, Florida, which is not
30 miles away from school.
It's not close to Miami. As far as looking at where your college campus is and getting students there, no, man, you got to do better, and you have the money to do it. So make it happen.
Yeah. But they're not gonna, because real estate is $1 bajillion in South Florida.
That's also very true.
So they're not gonna do it. They're never gonna. But so Miami always feels like they feel a little bit like USC to me. Only USC fans will actually show up for a winner. Miami won, and the fans didn't show up anyway.
That's wild.
And much love to our friends of the pod, Rock and Rant.
Congratulations for
Flo.
making it that far.
Congratulations
Have a great season.
To you guys winning the title.
For sure.
winning the ACC, or not.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't win the ACC, but they got to the national title game, won a bunch of playoff games. That's
Mhm.
awesome. And you guys might win a national title.
Yeah.
But it's always going to feel weird that you don't have the fan base to go with the on-field success.
And as real fans of like them, like that would bother me. That would kind of piss me off.
Oh, dude, it bothered me when we played in the Metrodome and like the crowds weren't as good for the Gophers.
Yeah. So like, and this isn't a shot at real fans of Miami. Like it's like but like it would bother me for sure. And I think, and also can we just, I'm sorry to sidetrack here a little bit, but like, can we talk about the whole Notre Dame thing and how like Miami was being talked about and shouldn't have been in the playoff? And
Miami, who was the national runner-up and the only team that made Indiana truly sweat.
Yeah. Was possibly not going to be in the college football playoff
because of a Notre Dame team that didn't play anybody. Well, I'm sorry, they played 2 tough games, or they played 3 tough games and they won one of them.
Yeah, so let's give Miami some credit here on how well they did. I mean, I know this is a Big Ten podcast, but like, come on, man.
They're back, man. They're back.
Seriously.
23 years in the wilderness. They are back.
Yep.
They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the years to come. Mario Cristobal will have another chance to win a national title.
Absolutely.
Especially if they steal Darian Mensah from Duke, which I think is really not cool because Darian Mensah already signed to go back to Duke.
Mm-hmm.
But he's great. He's great.
Yeah,
and with him, Malachi Toney, like I'd say Darian Mensah is better than Carson Beck.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
So, like, with an upgrade at quarterback next year, Miami's going to be terrifying.
Yep.
Once again, I'm sure they will be.
So it's just, again, like these people who are making these votes, who are making these decisions. And yes, this year, the College Football Playoff Committee made the right decision by putting an ACC team in the College Football Playoff, which is where they should have been, instead of a team who refuses to officially declare for any conference. We
refuse to play in their bowl game like cowards.
Yeah,
cowards.
So no, we need to keep punishing Notre Dame at least until they decide to join a conference. And even then, I mean, I'm in for punishing them, but still, the point is let's just, we should be rewarding teams that are doing things the right way. And Miami was rewarded the way they should have been. And so, be proud of what your program accomplished, even though you lost. Like you said, it was a hard fought. They were able to stick in there and they made Indiana sweat. I thought actually at that offsides that Indiana had, I was like, oh no, like this is it. Like Miami's going to march down the field,
march down, score a touchdown, and win. They almost did, and then Jamari Sharp with the pick.
Yep. So
Carson Beck he hung it up in the air and he underthrew it. You could see right away. I was like, oh man, that's one where the wide receiver needed to like rip the DB's helmet off so he wouldn't like catch the ball. Like you needed to be like, oh my God, I need to get this D back to the ground or else he's gonna. But like it was not to be. It was not to be.
But
that was a bad read by Carson Beck too. There was a safety over the top and everything. I mean, I know the corner got the pick, but like that was a bad read. It was not open. It was not there.
And look, Beck is a fine quarterback. He's a fine college quarterback, but
he was very good this year.
But he's just not like a Fernando Mendoza. And
no, he's not Cam Ward either, who they had last year.
No, he's not. So yeah, I think next year Miami should be really good, and we'll see what happens. But I loved not seeing the SEC in another national title game.
3rd year in a row.
I felt great. Whoever would have won, I would have been like, okay, at least it wasn't the SEC. But obviously I'm very happy for Hoosier fans, and you guys are living a freaking movie.
You're living the dream, Hoosier fans. You soak this up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not going to happen again because it could happen again next year.
Sure.
But like, it could also never happen again. Like this is college football. Anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Kurt Cignetti is probably going to spend the next 10 years in Bloomington coaching. But he could also be in the NFL in 2 years too. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So like, enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride.
So again, and I saw someone post this on Twitter, and I just it's just a brief little exercise. Zero thought put into this, other than just your knee-jerk reaction. Maybe it's just because of who you want it to be or who you might realistically think it could be. Which Big Ten team possibly wins a national title next year?
Next year?
Yeah.
You're asking me?
Yep. Because we've gone different teams now. We've got Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana. Are we having a different team, or is like Ohio State going to become
I
Ohio
feel
State
it, man.
again?
Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, it's his third year, and it's Julian Saint's second year starting.
Mm-hmm.
I know they lose some dudes like Caleb Downs and Arvell Reese and whatever on defense. Right now, I'm not, and you can't hold me to this.
I know, no, we're not.
We don't know what's going to happen in
stone.
spring ball.
No.
Who's going to show out? Who's going to get hurt? All that kind of stuff. But like right now, if it's not Indiana, and it could be, could be. If it's not Indiana, let's say Indiana takes a step back. Not that I know they will. Yeah. But theoretically, teams often take a step back after they win a title and lose as much production as Indiana's going to lose. I still think they're probably a playoff contender. Yeah. But Ryan Day kind of has to prove it in a weird way. After what happened against Indiana and Miami. And I think Ryan Day found something out. And you know what he found out? He tried playing the Michigan style with the slow tempo all year. And he's like, oh, I'm going to play slow tempo. And then that's going to be how I limit like reps and keep my team fresh all year. And that part of it was good. The part that was bad was that against teams like Indiana and Miami, where you want to have more snaps so that you have more chances to score, they couldn't speed the tempo up. They weren't able to do it. They didn't even try, really. So if I'm Ryan Day, like in the big games next year, you got like in your average game, you want to play slow tempo, grind the clock, whatever, sure. But there's going to be 3 or 4 games where you need to go up tempo. Like I mean, like there are going to be 3 or 4 games, 5 games over the course of the year, counting the playoff, where you're going to have to go up tempo. And you're going to have to be like, we're Ohio State. We have the best receivers in America. We have the quarterback with arguably the most accurate arm in America. We're gonna run a lot of plays, and we're gonna score on some of them because the more plays we run, the more chances our playmakers have to bust them out. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the lesson Ohio State needs to learn. But if you look at it, man, Oregon now with Dante Moore back, if he takes another step, they're dangerous. Indiana, I'm not ready to count them out at all. And a lot of people think USC is coming. A lot of people I think Michigan might be coming. Okay. Which I hope they aren't because we play them next year. But like if Bryce Underwood takes a big jump under Kyle Whittingham and like
which he could, I could see that happening.
I mean, he's much better coaching than he was getting under Sharon Moore.
Yeah. And
and Bryce Underwood was very good for a true freshman. Like he wasn't perfect. He was inconsistent, but like he was a true freshman playing quarterback in the Big Ten. Yeah. So if he takes a step and they can get a little better at receiver, I think Michigan could do some stuff. Who plays quarterback for Illinois next year?
I'm not sure they got.
Me either. Is it someone that's on the roster already, or or they get somebody in the transfer portal?
I feel like they got someone in the transfer portal. I'm blanking on that. We'll obviously go over all of this when we preview each team. I'm just not up on my transfer portal news right now. I feel like it was some G5 quarterback, but maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. I could be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes because I think they could be really good. I don't want to sound like a giant homer, but like if the offensive line is better for Minnesota, we know the defensive line is great. And they added pieces in the portal to make it better after they led the Big Ten in sacks. Yeah. They added some really nice defensive line pieces in the portal. Yeah. And, it sucks losing Coy Parich, but they got like several other guys who are all proven productive players instead of him.
I think the defense overall as a unit is going to be better without Coy Parich. Not because Coy Parich is gone, but it is, but because they were able to spend the money
the money on more players. Yes. So like, you probably don't have the spectacular top tier athlete you brought in like a Coy Parich.
Yes.
But you brought in several guys who have been really productive at a high level.
100%. That's where I'm at. Yeah.
throughout that defense. I think it's if the offensive tackle transfer works out and the young Minnesota offensive linemen take a step like they should, going from being redshirt freshmen playing to being like third year guys.
Yeah.
Usually on the offensive line, the third year is once you've had enough strength training to like hang.
Yeah.
And before that, a lot of guys are, if they're playing, they're playing against men who are much stronger than they are.
Yeah.
And much more refined technique. And so there can be struggles. So I would say, I think there's a chance for Minnesota to be really good. Iowa's not going away, man.
No,
I don't know who's playing quarterback, but they're not going away.
You just can't count as long as Ferentz is there, man. You just can't. You can't count them out for anything.
You can't think that they're not going to be a threat.
Washington could be really good next year.
Washington could be really good next year, man. Yep. USC could be. I mean, we talked about them, but USC could be really good potentially. With they have the #1 recruiting class.
Yep.
So if they have some guys that can come in and play right away, that could be they could be really nasty. And then you've got then you've got a lot of teams that are going to be tough outs.
Yep.
I think Maryland probably looks a little better next year. I think Purdue for sure looks better next year.
Yeah, I think so too.
Barry Odom, I think, is a good coach. He proved that to me this year.
Yep.
That he could, without having enough talent, he's like, we're going to clutch and grab and dare him to call it. And we're going to play fundamental football and we're going to play hard.
Yep.
And like, that's a good place to start. So top to bottom, man, the Big Ten is going to be really, really tough next year. But when you're talking about title contenders, I mean, I guess my top tier list is Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana in no particular order. I think you can throw USC and Oregon in there too. And then it's a matter of, do you get someone else to be a contender out of the Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota,
Penn State,
Washington.
Maybe.
Yeah.
See, I'm very interested to see
I don't know,
Penn
man.
State
Penn State's, they're going to be like Iowa State was, but only in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Because it's all Iowa State players they have now for next year.
I think they're going to, I think maybe not this next year, but I do think that with the resources Penn State has, I think Matt Campbell will, they're going to do a good job. It may just be another
great. I just don't know if it's going to be next year.
No, I don't think next year, but I mean, I could also see Penn State continuing to be a 10-2 team every single year.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to be like,
Rocco Becht is really good.
He is.
He's the best Penn State quarterback. He'll be the best Penn State quarterback since Trace McSorley.
Yeah.
Easily.
Which is great.
I just don't think they're going to be as good up front as they usually are next year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
And I think that's going to make them more gettable. I know they were very gettable this year, but more gettable than they normally are when they're going 10-2.
Well, I think for me, it's Oregon. That's who I think.
You're riding Oregon again. You had them this year.
I am. I know. I feel like, I know you're saying there's a lot on Ryan Day, which there is.
Yes.
There is every year. But I feel like Oregon they're on the cusp, man. And they've been on the cusp for a while. And really I think it's time where they have to. Dante Moore is going to have a lot more experience. I think he's going to be a lot better. They have Jordan Davison coming back. He was only a freshman. They have
De'Aaron Hill's back too, I think, right?
Yeah,
and Decorian Moore.
Decorian Moore.
I think they lose Kenyon Sadiq. No,
he's only a junior.
Sadiq's not coming back, don't you think? I don't think so.
I don't know.
If he comes back, sure, but I bet he's going pro.
I hope so. He's
terrifying.
But in that defense, man, they're gonna reload on that defense.
I know,
which was incredible.
Gonna have Coy Parrish out there mocking us.
Yep. So I just think I can see Oregon. For me, I think that's who it is. I think that they have something to really prove more so than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And so that's my take. I know I picked them this last year, but I guess I just feel like they're so close, man. Just on the edge. And so one of these years it's going to happen. And I feel like it's just, next year would make a lot of sense. Plus 4 years, dude. I mean, 4 years in a row of the Big Ten winning a national title and having it being 4 different teams
would be wild.
That'd be insane.
Yeah, so, I could see Oregon. Like I said, the short tier for me is Ohio State, Oregon, and you can't deny Indiana at this point.
No,
you can't deny them. Now, Indiana might regress and go 9-3 next year or 8-4, but
possibly.
But I'm not going to predict it.
No,
I'm not, I thought they were going to go 9-3 this year, and they went 16-0.
Mm-hmm.
So like Signetti can, he can walk on water. He can, he can turn that water into wine. He can do whatever he wants. It's his world. We're all just living in it.
Honestly, I feel like if Indiana played 20 games this year, they'd win all 20. Like I just
Signetti would be that not excited about it. Yeah. Dude, and you know what? I respect that he's a brand guy. Did you see when they said, what are you going to do after the game to celebrate? He said, I'm going to have a beer. And they were like, what kind of beer? And he's like, Hoosier beer. Pumping the NIL all the time. All the time. I'm going to have a Hoosier beer. And then he said, it was the best beer I ever had. It made me want to have another beer.
I love that man so much. Like I know I might grow to hate him because he's gonna
we have to play them next year in Bloomington.
Yeah,
I decided I'm not going to that game.
I wouldn't. Hell no.
Like, is there a chance PJ pulls the upset? Sure, but I'm not gonna bet on it.
No.
Unless Josh Hoover is a total bust.
Yeah, which I doubt.
I don't think he will be.
Dude, at this point, Curt Cignetti could. I don't know. Offer. I don't know if he still has any eligibility left, but he could get Jacob Clark from an old Gopher quarterback and make him into a freaking Heisman Trophy contender.
Wasn't he at Missouri State?
I think so. Yeah. So, I could see it. I could see him do that.
Dude, like he could do anything.
Yep.
He's like the coach in The Replacements when Gene Hackman's going around and picking up all the guys that nobody else wanted, and there's a super team. That's Curt Cignetti.
Yep, that's
what he does. He's like nobody else offered you. Come play for me, kid. It'll work out. And now he's getting the really highly ranked recruits too.
Yep.
So man, Indiana's not going away.
No,
as long as Signetti's there, they are not going away.
I expect the next
Signetti could be there for a decade.
I'm expecting the next 10 years, 8 to 10 years of this. Yeah. So
I mean it'll be wild. It'll be wild to see if he can. It's wild he got to the mountaintop. It'll be crazy to see if he can get back.
Yeah.
I'm not betting against him.
No, can't. No.
Yeah.
So cool, man.
Awesome.
Right.
Indiana, the Indiana Hoosier national champions. I got to say, Gopher fans, I know there are a lot of you out there. There's hope.
There is.
There's hope. If Indiana can go from the worst team in the Big Ten to national champions in 2 years, there's hope for us, a team that's been pretty successful and has a similar amount of alumni to Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And has a lot of advantages of our own.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all there. Not saying it's going to happen next year or anything, but I'm saying it's all there to be had if they take the right steps on and off the field.
Yep. Talking to you, Board of Regents.
Yeah, and you're going to be hearing from me. Now, Minneapolis is having other problems right now, so I'm not really harassing the Board of Regents right this second.
Yeah.
But we're going to start.
Yep.
We're going to start, so you can all look out for that too. I'll post about that on Twitter and stuff. And if you want to get involved and help make, do emails and phone calls to these people, it'd be great.
Heck yeah. Cool.
Awesome. The Indiana Hoosiers won the national championship.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah. Congratulations to all the fans out there, to Mama Kamish and B-Town Bucket Boy and all the guys at the All For You pod and super fans Vince and Sherry. And also, our friend of the pod and former guest host, Dom the Rev.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy for all of them.
Yeah, they deserve it. You guys
Dom wrote a really good social media post about and it said, what if Indiana wins? And he started back when they sucked.
Yeah.
And he was a kid, watching them and but every paragraph was what if they win? And then now here they are and they won.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I get goosebumps just kind of thinking about it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Send some of that energy our way, Hoosier fans.
Yeah.
Share it.
Yeah, that's some of that juju.
Just a little.
Yeah. We'll take care of it. All right, man.
All right.
Say before we get out of here.
As always, you want to find We Live for Saturday, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Podcast Addict. You can find us on Twitter at We Live for B1GSat. You can find Mike at Alibaba26. You can find me, John, at Norwegian Gopher, and you can email us, We Live for Saturday, B1G@gmail.com. Please subscribe, follow, tweet, retweet, all that good stuff, especially here on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. It is now the long off season.
Mm-hmm.
We are as far away from active college football being played as we could possibly be. But that doesn't mean we're stopping. We're going to continue doing a show just about every week. If there's not going to be a show, we'll let you know on social media. But we're going to continue to do a show just about every week during the off season. And, I'm excited. The off season is when we grow. Yep. So that's when this is the great time to start introducing us to your friends. With a lot of podcasts stop around now. So, there's less to listen to. So we'll be there for you. We're going to do some themed episodes, do some fun stuff, have some good guests. It's going to be a really fun off season, I think.
Yeah. We'll talk about all that other good stuff, even things that we don't want to talk about, like conference realignment. It's going to happen. It is happening. So, college football, playoff expansion.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into all of that. So don't worry. We'll cover whatever is going on. All right.
But it's nice talking football today. One more time.
Heck yeah.
Right on. All right. Congrats to the Hoosiers. I hope everybody has an awesome weekend, and it's cold as all get out. So if you go outside, be safe. Take care, everybody.